this week. So me and Gary's been on a ton of stuff. You can see. He was on America's Got Talent.
Yep.
Made it top 10 finalist.
Yeah, I was a finalist.
Yeah.
Had a wild ride.
Wild ride. It was a fun one.
Yeah.
Howard Stern talked about you.
Yeah, that was the coolest part about it. Was he was there. Now he's not there. Left the show after I was same season.
But that was the best one that you got, at least with him on.
Yeah, he was the coolest one. Yeah, out of anybody. I mean, obviously I grew up listening to him, and then he he looks at comedy like a comic.
Yeah.
He didn't do stand up, but he loves
gets it.
Yeah, and he loves comedians. Appreciates a good written joke. And that's what I was looking for. So, if he would have said something bad, that would have just, broken my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and that's kind of thing is like, I'm sure you experienced it. You meet somebody and I never expected to meet him, but the fact that just hoping that he would like me when I got to meet him was the best thing. Otherwise, it just would have been.
Yeah. Did you ever really talk to him, or is it just like kind of on
stage? A little bit backstage, but they kind of just usher the judges like in and out, and they're in a bubble. Yeah. And that was before COVID. It's like they knew.
They knew. They did. Yeah. But if you saw him today, he'd remember. I think he'd remember you.
I think he would. Yeah. I mean, it was, he liked comedy.
Yeah.
So he was, I think at the end of the day, it's like after doing that show, getting his, approval was the coolest part. The other ones, it's like, Heidi Klum was a person she would criticize my act after. And it's like, English isn't even your first language.
Yeah.
So you're not getting my humor. Yeah, it makes sense. This isn't what you know. You don't know this.
Yeah.
I wore high heels on my last.
Yeah. So like the whole process, if people don't know about like doing a show like that, so you auditioned. Where'd you audition at?
New Jersey Performing Arts Center.
Yeah.
And it's you and what I would say that day maybe like 1,000 people, but then they have it going on for like a week straight.
Yeah.
So you're one of those people, and I was able to skip. I sent in a tape, and they were like, "You're gonna be able to go in front of the judges right off the bat." So I was lucky enough to go there.
You're someone with talent. Like you're with.
I already did Conan.
You already did Conan.
So that helped. Yeah.
Yes. They want. If that's what people like.
It wasn't like a blind like submission, which is and people can get farther that way because they do have producers look at your tapes at least on that show.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in this case, I sent it to a producer that reached out to me because I guess they saw my Conan, and then from there I was able to just jump the initial process, which I think the initial process is you go into a room and then you just. If you're a comic, you just do your set in front of like one person in front of a tape, which is obviously super hard, and not hearing laughs for anybody involved, anybody picking the talent. It's almost impossible. Yeah.
Would you have probably not done it then, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have done it. Yeah.
It was like they asked you.
It's a waste of time. At that point, to me, it's like a waste of time. So then I did the show at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, and you're in front of the 4 judges, and this was it was a bad setup because it was at like 2 p.m. on like a Monday, and they had in New Jersey Performing Arts Center, I think it seats like 3,000, and this probably had maybe like 250 people in there, and it got laughs, and I guess they had the audience mic, so it sounded well, but when you're up on stage, it's like you're not hearing a crazy amount of laughter, but the judges gave me all check marks, and then I was able to move on to the next level, which was just it was like 4 rounds of stuff, like or 5 rounds of stuff until you get to the finals. And the next round was like only I think like 4 people make it, and I was able to go from there. And then from there, the live shows, which are at Radio City.
Yeah, and that was like on TV. Like, what's the first time you get on TV at the first?
Yeah, the first audition. Yeah, the first audition. So and that one's a big one because a lot of people tune in and they could see, they put a whole like montage together of you, and then all the different like crazy acts that they have. And it's a good way to like gain fans and get people on your side and hope that you're going to advance from there.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then went from there. There was another audition that was in Long Island, or not an audition, but another taping in Long Island that went on air, but that wasn't live. And then the next ones were all live to tape at Radio City, and that's the craziest experience of just a live shot that's on NBC, 8 p.m. and you're at Radio City Music Hall, and I'm already in front of 6,000 people, which is the most amount of people I've performed in front of. But on top of that, it's live. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just like an outer body experience of like, you rehearse your set nonstop. And it's only, it was like 2.5 minutes that you're doing, but you're hoping you don't flub anything.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, the amount of pressure is wild.
Yeah, and nobody thought like I would get that. Like, I remember I was telling my wife, I'm like, I'm doing the audition. She's like, oh, good. Like, you're still doing comedy. She didn't even know I was still doing comedy.
Oh, you're going out. Okay, yeah, that's cool.
And then I'm like, oh, I advanced. She's like, oh, good, like that. Like, and then from there, it's just I'm doing a live show, and then advance from the quarterfinals to the semifinals. And the craziest part was, and this is because you're at my wedding party. From the semifinals, my wedding was in between the semifinals and the finals.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell them at all that I was getting married because they follow you around with cameras and everything. So I was like, I live with a roommate. I didn't even tell them I had a wife. And it just happened to fall in between my wedding. And I had to tell them that I needed time off from like doing all like their random shoots during the day, because they always put like together like a whole package right before your performance. And I had to tell them that I couldn't do any of that stuff until like the day before the finals, because I was getting married. And they were like, we thought you have like a roommate.
Yeah.
We didn't even know you were straight.
Yeah, well, it's gotten pretty serious between me and that roommate.
Yeah. So
we did. Yeah. They thought you were gay, and you're like, whoa, this is okay. Wow, that's a lot to take in.
It's a curveball.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was your backstory. You could finally get out of this one little tiny apartment with your roommate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, we I did that, and I think they were so pissed that I didn't tell them. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, my wife just wanted to have a normal wedding without, they would have wanted cameras there. I mean, I probably would have won America's Got Talent now that I'm thinking about it.
I mean, you would have told us no today when we asked you to come here. You'd be like, nah, I can't.
Life would be much different.
Much different if you'd have, gave that. I mean, well, so many people go in there just focused on that backstory.
Yeah.
Like that that's a way that an angle that people do is, I got this crazy backstory. I'm going to really let them know that I have all this kind of crazy stuff, but you didn't do that.
Yeah. I tried giving myself cancer and everything.
Yeah. You did everything else. Yeah. You're like, my dad's a firefighter, and they're like, oh man, he died on 9/11. You're like, no, it's July 5th. It was like 1984. You're like, oh, was that just a normal? And you go, yeah. He was old. Like, it's not even from. They really get into it. Yeah. You're like, it was like, yeah.
But yeah, it was that was just crazy that whole experience. And I remember, so the semifinals to the finals will end up being 2 days after my wedding. But the semifinals, it came down to like, I was a final selection where it was right before the show was about to end, like the last minute of the show. And it's either between me and this like illusionist group or whatever.
Yeah.
And they have like the spotlights, and they voted, and it's like, it's so close. We're going to have to go to, a audience vote online. And I'm like, oh my God, because it's like such a letdown if you don't get it, and then you're the loser at your own wedding.
Yeah.
And I wound up getting it, got to the finals, which was my goal the whole time. My whole goal was to get to the finals.
Yeah.
And, hopefully, change my career somewhat. And then, was able to do it. And, it was the wedding was great. And I lost in the final.
Yeah. You told him you got married.
Yeah.
Lewis would have still given that speech. The speech that Louis J. Gomez gave at Gary's wedding. Yeah, I had it on video.
I have it on video because we had a videographer. So I'm going to get that speech so we could play it somewhere.
Yeah. Well, you got to play it on.
Oh yeah,
podcast.
You guys are going to option the rights. Yeah.
Well, no, it was like such a.
Did he George Costanza cursing at the?
Oh yeah. I think it was like the cursing. It was a very pro comic speech.
Yeah,
there's not appropriate for a wedding.
There's probably 20 comics at the wedding. It was like a decent sized wedding, maybe like 150, 170 people or whatever.
About 250.
I thought I was going to sell out, but it didn't work out that way. And it was but Lewis made the speech, and it had nothing to do with like, marriage or anything. It was just directly toward, to me and to the comics. And then that was it. But
yeah. Why did he even give a speech? Was he
He was my best man.
He was the best.
Yeah,
man.
we were friends at the time.
Yeah. So. Yeah, you haven't talked to him since.
Yeah, I haven't seen him.
Lewis was your best man. That's right.
Yeah,
I was a groomsman.
Yeah, you,
Soder,
Shacky,
yeah,
Dave Smith.
Yeah.